Good afternoon, my awesome students. Today we are moving on from physical science to earth science. So the first thing that you're going to do is turn to page 46 in your journal, and that's going to be our earth science cover page. So you should see my example on the screen, and the two things you're required to have are the words earth and science, and then you may decorate it however you choose. Related to earth science, but you must make sure that on page 46 it says earth science. That is your earth science cover page. So just make sure that you are leaving room for that. You don't have to fully decorate it right now, but make sure you make that your cover page. Put it in your table of contents just as earth science on page 46. And then we will go ahead and get our journal set up on page 47 for our two new vocabulary words today. Okay, so you should have gotten a handout like this in class, and it's just like the one you guys did for our types of forces, except there's only two squares. So just so there's no confusion, you're going to fold it over like this, and you want to match up these two squares to the really long rectangle. You're going to have a long rectangle sticking out. So you fold it just along that line right there. Okay, so you should have it look like, oops, sorry, that's really crooked. You should have it look like this, okay? And this is what the back looks like. So this is where all the glue is going to go. You have your little flap right here where you're going to write weather and climate. And then go ahead and look at the picture on the screen and get your journal set up that way. Okay, so you should be on page 47, and as you can see, this is what your foldable should look like. So you should have weather on the top and climate at the bottom. You do not have to decorate it as much as I did, of course you can, but please make sure to label your first square weather and your second square climate, and then we're going to take some notes on the inside of our foldable. Okay, so the first word we want to talk about is weather. Okay, think about it. When you stepped outside this morning, how did the weather feel? Okay, it was cold. It got really cold this morning, didn't it? Okay, so that's what the weather is right here, right now. Okay, so that's when we talk about weather, I talk about what's happening in the atmosphere right now. Okay, so our definition for weather is the conditions of the atmosphere at a certain place at a certain time. So for example, it might be 75 degrees and sunny in Dallas, Texas. That is describing the weather. Okay, so go ahead and pause this and get those notes in. Okay, now weather, that's the daily conditions. That's what happens from day to day, from week to week. That's currently happening. But on the other hand, we can have what we call climate. You may have heard of people say Texas has a hot climate or a dry climate. And that is simply talking about how the conditions usually are in Texas different times of the year. So climate is the average weather over a long period of time. Okay, so for example, Arizona has a very hot and dry climate. So most often during the year, you can expect to go there and it not be raining and it be pretty hot. Okay, so go ahead and get your definition in for climate, and then you're going to watch a quick video and learn some really cool motions and gestures to help us remember those two words. Okay, so you just learned two new vocabulary words, weather and climate. So we want to make sure that we truly understand them because they're similar but different, and they're easy to get confused if we don't pay very close attention to the key differences. Okay, so the first one we talked about is weather. Okay, weather is the conditions of the atmosphere at a certain time and a certain place. Okay, so whenever we talk about the word weather, we're going to do those motions. So the conditions of the atmosphere at a certain time and a certain place. And you've noticed, I know you can't see it, but I stomp my feet and I point to the ground when I say certain place. Okay? So mirror. Weather are the conditions of the atmosphere at a certain time and a certain place. Okay, and what you might hear me say in class is right here, right now. And when I say right here, right now, you're going to say weather. Okay? So right here, right now. Weather are the conditions in the atmosphere at a certain time and a certain place. Okay, so that is weather. So now let's know what climate is. So climate is weather, but there's a key word in there called average. And you learned about the average with our forces. We know we take all of our data, combine it together, and divide it by however much data I have, and then that's my average. So climate is the average weather over a long period of time. Okay? So mirror. Climate is the average weather over a long period of time. Okay? So make sure that you learn what weather is and what climate is, and be prepared tomorrow to show me those motions and gestures that I know that you know what weather and climate is. So have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow.